faith. Have faith. Believe in your source. Have faith.
Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host, Lulu Benavidez, is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Krokonis Hanson, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started. Nick Arrojo, a celebrated hairdresser and industry icon, is renowned for his innovative razor cutting technique. He is the inventor and pioneer of a creative, precision-based method designed to craft fashionable, wearable styles, providing stylists unparalleled creative freedom and versatility. Raised in Manchester, England, Nick began his career as an apprentice of Vidal Sassoon, where his talent and vision propelled him to become the youngest ever creative director at Vidal Sassoon. After moving to the United States, Nick founded Arrojo NYC, a multifaceted and award-winning independent hairdressing brand headquartered in Soho, New York City. The Arrojo brand encompasses education, cutting-edge hair care products, and a salon that exemplifies the art of modern hairdressing. Over his illustrious 30-year career, Nick's work has graced the pages of countless fashion magazines. He was also the hairstyling host on TLC's hit TV show What Not to Wear for 7 seasons, solidifying his status as a household name. Nick's accolades include the prestigious Behind the Chair Stylist Choice Platform Artist of the Year and the Global Salon Business Award for Salon Entrepreneur of the Year. Beyond the awards, he is admired for his down-to-earth demeanor and unwavering commitment to empowering fellow stylists. Nick inspires hairdressers worldwide through his teachings, offering practical techniques that elevate their craft. Nick's influence extends beyond the salon. His product line, Arrojo, and his American Wave service, which creates natural-looking waves and curls, highlight his commitment to innovation and client-centric solutions. He has also worked with notable clients, including supermodels Melissa Keller and Yamila Diaz, actors Minnie Driver and Liev Schreiber, and musician Bryan Adams. Nick's personal life reflects his passion for the industry. He is married to Lena Arrojo, who works alongside him at Arrojo Studios. Together, they are proud parents of twin boys, Nico and Marco. Nick continues to inspire the hairdressing community with his artistry, innovations, and dedication to advancing the craft. Please, let's welcome in Nick Arrojo.
Welcome, Nick. We're so happy to have you here on our podcast, Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about yourself and about your salon?
Well, I'm originally from England, Manchester, and I've been in the hair industry for 40 plus years. I started my career in England at Vidal Sassoon. I spent 10 years working for that company. Then I found myself moving on, and I went to work for Weller, Great Britain. I moved to London. I was there for a couple of years as the creative seminar leader. Then I moved to the States. I got the chance to work for Bumble and Bumble. And from Bumble, I opened up my own partnership business. And in 2001, I ended up opening Arrojo, which is a salon, a school, and we have our own product line too.
Wow.
So I believe you opened your studio in 2001, and I'm just curious because you have such a breadth of knowledge. What is your philosophy towards your craft, and what is your philosophy? How does that differ with your philosophy as a salon owner?
It doesn't really. I think that, a successful hairdresser should be a successful business person. Yeah, I believe that, we know the right things to do, and the right things to do are turn up to work on time, perfect your craft, be nice to people, be good to your clients, maximize your potential, and have a fun time doing it. Yeah. And I think that's exactly the same when it comes to being a salon owner. Yeah, when you're a salon owner, what you have to do is create an environment for people to do the things that I just said. So I tried to be the salon owner. I don't even think about it, to be honest with you. I try to be the salon owner that just creates a nice environment for people to be able to thrive. If they can't thrive, then there's plenty of mirrors in the salon. They can look in the mirror and they can figure out what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong. I don't really see that much of a difference. Of course, we want to do great work, because if we do great work, then we can charge a premium price. If we can charge a premium price, it means that we can make a very good living with our craft. So I think, the idea really is, be professional, be focused, do the best that you can in whatever situation presents itself, and constantly learn from all your mistakes, because one thing's guaranteed: you're going to make mistakes. You just have to learn from them. That's the only time you really learn, is when you do make mistakes. So philosophically, professional stylist, I think I had the same elements when I was an apprentice. It's not like anything changes. You're still you, and your job just changes. Your responsibilities change, but the intention really should just be exactly the same.
Yeah. Great work.
We interviewed like Leslie Cavendish, Tony Beckerman, who else came out of that?
Christopher Booker.
Christopher Booker. So they all came out of Vidal Sassoon. They all started working as an apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn so much. And one of the things that I remember Leslie saying is that these are your clients, that he learned from Vidal, is these are your clients, and you charge them. They're not your friends, because your friends you don't charge.
Yeah,
so that's one of the things. But, being a salon owner for so many years, I've noticed there's a particular change in our industry. The people have changed because they're stuck to this, right?
Uh-huh.
So what do you do in order to alleviate that in your salon?
Well, you're not going to be able to alleviate it. The whole world's on it. So forget about it. You're only going to drive yourself crazy. Okay?
Right.
You're only going to drive yourself crazy. The reality is if you're busy, you have no time to be on your device.
Right.
But your device is something that you can use to market yourself.
Yeah.
So I have a school, and I can tell you right now that every student in that school right now has their personal device in their pocket. They will pull out that device to take pictures. They will pull out that device to connect with people. Maybe they'll pull out that device to gather information. Maybe they'll use that device to help them in so many different ways. Yes, it can be a distraction. That's where they're trying to certainly take it away from children at school, because it does become highly addictive. But it's part of the present, and it's part of the future. So what we did in the last century should be left in the last century.
Yeah.
And what we do in this century is what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Because the reality is the device is not going away, and technology is only advancing even faster. And the technology has changed our industry so much, because the professional salon owner who used to have employees had some kind of protection, for the simple reason that when the hairdresser left, they really couldn't find where the hairdresser went.
Right.
Today, we live in a world where if I give a client to a stylist today, and that stylist leaves tomorrow, then that client has a good chance they're going to follow that stylist. So in some ways, it's really damaged the professional salon because of the accessibility and the freedom for hairdressers to be able to move, and to be able to move freely, because they have all of the connection. And we all know the stories, and that is, you'll have a walkout, you'll get disgruntled hairdressers, they'll gather together in maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pockets, and they'll leave, and they'll damage your business. And it makes it very scary owning a salon today, because the natural path is for a hairdresser, for any person, is for them to make more money. So for most people, it's somewhat easier for them to go. They can take the client, they've got all that accessibility, and they start their journey. The only downside is, fast forward 5 years, there's a good chance it's going to happen to them.
That's right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
cycle. It's a cycle, and that's a difficult cycle, and that, I think, is the big change in our industry.
Yeah. You know, you talk about technology today, and we talk about this phone. So one of the things that I think is important is that you utilize this as far so many different ways. You said that the stylists use it to take photographs of their work. They I know in my salon they use it to do a consultation with color, so they can key in the person's, you know, there's an app that they can key in the client's name, and they can, which is different what they can do by themselves. So by using this tool, it's so important, and how they use it is more important, you know.
Yeah,
So
I mean, listen, you can't get away from technology. Technology is going to change our world, and it's going to be fantastic. And we're working with AI now is just something that has really changed the way in which we do business.
Exactly, exactly. So, Nick, you are known as a celebrity stylist to superstar models. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think that, you know, you get known for certain things and people put these little tags on you, and the reality is maybe not what people think. Okay? So over the years, being in New York City, you do get the chance to work on models and certain celebrities, but I'm not really a celebrity hairdresser. I am an everyday hairdresser that likes cutting hair, that likes making people look good, I like making people feel good, and I like the variety so much more than just trying to be one person's hairdresser.
Exactly.
So that, to me, is really what I am. And I think the celebrity hairdresser is something that the media gives you the tag. Maybe it sounds good. Maybe you are a celebrity hairdresser. If you're a celebrity hairdresser, then you're working with celebrities. I don't work with that many celebrities. I work in my business, on my business. And while I've lived in New York and worked with famous people, from time to time, it's not been the path for me at all. And it won't be the path for me at this moment in my journey. And I say at this moment in my journey because the journey constantly can evolve and change, and you never know when it's going to change.
I like that word path because it's interesting to me. You've won a lot of awards. You come from Sassoon. You work for Wella, which is, you know, premier color company, and yet you're sort of the inventor of the precision razor cut. All of that in evolution. I'm curious as to how you evolved into the, I mean, razor cutting. I mean, that's part of it. How did that happen?
How did the razor evolve?
How did you evolve into that craft in addition to the traditional ones?
Well, you know, I worked for Vidal Sassoon, and Vidal Sassoon is, at the time was the most iconic hairdressing company. And, you know, when I got to work for Vidal Sassoon, it was in the 80s, but really Vidal made his name in the 70s. Okay? So, you know, when I started working there, it was all about precision-based haircutting, and I learned how to be what they classed a precision-based hair cutter. I liked the precision of the quality of the work, but I didn't like the way that the hair looked. It looked too, it didn't look like it looked like a piece of art as opposed to a piece of a human. Okay, so I wanted to take that precision technique and look at it from a different perspective where it doesn't have to match for it to still be precise. What's better, a sketch or a line drawing? Who's the better artist? Someone that works with paint or someone that works with aerosol cans? There's many, many ways to work in hair. And the medium that I wanted to explore was I wanted to break away from work that never moved because it was so precise.
Correct.
And, you know, the reality is when somebody tells you what you can't do or what you shouldn't do, then you want to do it even more. So for 10 years, I was only allowed to work with very small scissors. And I was a successful person in that organization. But really, it wasn't the real world. The real world is, you know, everyday people having what they want, making their hair look good. It's not about short, it's not about long, it's about their personal image. So as soon as I left Vidal Sassoon, the styles changed in the 90s. Hair became a lot looser. So when you looked in magazines, you saw hair that didn't look so polished and so done. If you go back to the 60s, the hair was polished, it was coiffed, it was done. In the 90s, it was undone, it was loose. And there's an art form to making hair look loose and undone. So for me, when I left Vidal Sassoon, I wanted to explore razor cutting because I wanted to see if I could turn the technical art of precision cutting into sculpture. And the razor was my tool that made me think about doing hair in a different perspective. And when I began, it was really a self journey. When I began, it was like, okay, I know how to cut hair, and I know how to do it with a pair of scissors, 2 pieces of steel moving together. So how the hell do we do it with 1 piece of steel? So you find somebody with hair, and you find a few razors, and you start playing. And, you know, at the beginning, I stayed very close to kind of the integrity of what I would do with a scissor. But then over years of practice and play and study, I learned to be more free and more loose, and so much so that when my spotlight came for me to be more in the spotlight, I felt like sharing razor was something that nobody else was doing. So it was my unique point of difference, and you always put your best foot forward. So that's what I did. And since that time, you know, my razor cutting has continued to evolve, and I've continued to share it across America with many, many people. I've trained a lot of hair cutters that are teaching razor classes all over the country. You know, scissor cutting is like architecture. Razor cutting is like sculpture. If you want to be a great hairdresser, in my opinion, learn the architecture of hair first, and then take the architecture and then start to play with it with sculpture. And I've always said this, I've been doing hair behind the chair for more than 40 years. What a great idea that I've got more than one tool to pick up and use. I'm not really into gimmicks. I'm not really into fads. I'm just into things that work. And I say that a computer is like scissor cutting, and a razor's like an iPad.
There you go.
You don't play with a keyboard when you're on an iPad. You just let your fingers do the swoopy-doopy-doop. Open, move. And that's what razor cutting is. And scissor cutting is a little bit more technical.
I like what you said between the razor and the scissors. I hear a lot of young people, or I wouldn't say they're young, but anyway, a lot of hairstylists say, oh, that the razor really damaged the hair. Well, you know, I always go back to, it's the person. It's not the razor itself. If the person doesn't know how to use it correctly, then that tool correctly, then that's who you blame. And I remember years ago when I worked for Matrix, I did a razor cutting. But at the time, I did a razor cutting like you could cut it with the scissors. You know, you could see that the hair just looked straight across, just like the scissors. You use it a different way, don't you?
No, No,
No? You use
no.
it like a scissors?
Well, you can't use it like scissors because a scissors 2 pieces of steel, a razor's 1.
It's one. Right.
So you can't use it. You can't use it the same. Yeah, scissor cuts the hair. The razor splices the
This
hair.
is the hair.
You get momentum with a scissor with your fingers. With your razor, you got to get momentum with your finger. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the razor does 4 things. You can do clean lines, like you would cut with a scissor.
Right.
You can do textured lines, like you could do texture and length at the same time. We call that open razor cutting. You can do tipping, where you use the very tip of the blade to diffuse the hair. You can look through the hair and you can tip through it so you can create a more controlled diffusion. Or you can use the whole plane of the blade, which is the most advanced, which we don't really teach. It's really more for fashion than it is for everyday. We call it planing, where you use the full plane of the blade to basically taper the cuticle down. So that's the most advanced. Now, the reality of anybody is the tool doesn't do the haircut. Yeah. The color doesn't do the color.
Right.
It's the person that's doing the magic.
Exactly.
Just like everything else. Yeah. And hairdressing does not have a universal language. English is a universal language. Hairdressing, they're cutting different techniques up the street. They're cutting different techniques down the street. Teachers are contradicting teachers. It's just the universe of the variety of the spice of what we do in hairdressing. I always try to stay on the safer side of integrity when it comes to working with a razor, because it can be a dangerous tool and it can damage the hair if it's used improperly. And if a client's had a bad experience with a razor, I'll not use a razor. I'll use a scissor. Right. Even though I know that I could probably make it look great with a razor, but I never try to force my opinions or what I'm going to use. If somebody says, don't use this, I don't use that. If somebody says, don't use lightener, we don't use lightener. We don't try to do things that people don't want. But, again, at the end of the day, when you're doing clients, the whole concept is you want the client to come back. Yeah, we're not doing one-off haircuts, bye-bye. We're hopefully building clients so that we can build a business, and one client is not necessarily worth the one haircut. One client's worth the 300 haircuts that she may get in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's how we have to think. So the razor is a tool, and I'll clean this up. The razor is a tool that, if it works really well, you can mimic what you can do with a scissor, but what the razor can do that the scissor can't is the razor is more ergonomic, and you can approach both sides the same way. Whereas with a scissor, if you're going to cut down on both sides, you have to completely change your body position. But with a razor, if you're going to cut down both sides, your body position's exactly the same. You don't have to change it, because we can just cut down, whereas with a scissor, you cut up one side, you cut down the next.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
One of the things, this goes back, oh my gosh, many years ago, I saw you, it was either the Midwest show or the New York show, and I'm one of those people who comes in and sits in the very back row in case it's not good, I can get up and leave. And you were blowing me away, because one of my complaints at the time was everybody was attempting to make the hair move and make it be freer for the movement. And so many people, designers, would cut in what they felt was a silhouette, and then they were going back in with the thinning shears, whacking out the ends, trying to create this fractured look. Yeah. And sometimes it would make me cringe, because there was no thought, purposeful intent to how they were using, thinning shears or whatever. And when I saw you using the razor and the different techniques and the way that you were able to still have a silhouette and a shape that you could see, but have the movement and I thought it was at the time absolutely I was like, he's brilliant. This is really and it's not like we never had a razor in the beauty industry. Anybody who went to beauty school in the 60s or 70s learned to cut with a razor, but the way that you taught your system, your precision, the language you used when you were teaching it, and I can be a pretty kind of a critical person, and I was absolutely thought it was genius.
Well, and I've seen it myself. We see it all over the show floor, and they call it a show floor because it is a show floor,
right?
And a lot of those stylists, they get on there and they put on a show, and and we see this a lot. You can beat the hair into submission. You're not putting a shape in. You're beating the hair into submission, so that it eventually can be crafted into what you want it to look like.
But
if you go back to the 60s, when people used to have their hair teased, they would get their hair razor cut because they didn't want to have solid lines. They'd have texture within, and then they'd create the shape. When you just hack and slash and you're just chopping and just thinning out hair, it can have an effect,
right?
For sure. It's highly visual, but in most instances, as soon as you wash that style, it's gone. It never comes back.
Right.
So I'm, because of my, like I said at the beginning, because of my precision-based kind of focus on architecture with scissors, I take the best of what I've learned with a scissor. That's why I say you have to learn the scissor first, because it's harder. Because the razor's way more forgiving, the same way that when they start chopping and slashing hair, it can be way more forgiving for the look. Not tomorrow when you wake up, or certainly in 2 weeks when it's really like, I need another haircut. The reality is you have integrity in your work, and then you apply like a little refinement and a little bit of elegance and a little bit of feel with working with the razor. The razor's not better than a scissor. The scissor's not better than a razor. They're just two tools that will give you two different effects, and it gives you two different approaches. The same way that you'd have many ways to do a bob. You can cut a bob from the front to the back, from the back to the front, from the front then to the back. There's many ways to do many things. A razor just gives you another option. And for me as a hairdresser, it's been my more preferred option. And when I talk to people that are from Vidal Sassoon, they tell me that sometimes they want to cry when they see me slicing with a razor.
Oh my
and
God.
they say, well, how do you feel when you're bleaching the hair white?
Yeah.
Does that make you want to cry when you're frying it to a crisp, or is it just me and my razor?
Yeah.
And I think we have to have new mentality. We have to have new opinions. We know where we're from. I'm from a very structured environment, but as much good as Sassoon taught me, they also taught me some things that weren't good. It's not always the right thing. People in leadership positions, bosses, owners, you're not a good parent. You're not born a good parent. You're not born a good boss. It's a journey. And you have to learn to evolve and adapt and do the best that you can in any way, shape, or form. So for me, haircutting, I love it. I enjoy it. I think it's an art form. I charge a lot of money to get a haircut. I'm very proud of that because I think that, we have to have high value. The trend in the last 10 years in America, maybe the last 15, has all been about color. It's probably a little bit easier for people to succeed. It's more loyal. There's more loyalty with the client when it comes to color. The immediate thing is obviously a client can be a client for a long time if they're doing single processes. So color's been where the action is, and obviously the pricing for color is higher than most haircutting. In fact, some of the social media stars of our industry are all in color and somewhat devalued cutting. And yet cutting is true craftsmanship.
Yes.
Came out of school, my student come out of school. If I give her the formula, she can do a single process. I don't need to do the single process. There's no feel in a single process. It's application.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas when you come to it, and it's the same with highlights, you put in the same foils in a certain set pattern. So you're following a path. When it comes to hair cutting, you got texture, you got shape, you got hair growth patterns. You've got what people want and what they think that they want and what they can't have. Yeah. You have so much more to overcome, and yet it's nowhere near have the same level of value as hair color. And for me personally, that's something that I've really tried to stand up for great hair cutting, great hair cutters, and to let the general public know, look, you know, you're going to wear that haircut for 3. My client just came in today, cut her hair in October. She's had the same hair since October. Yeah. So what else are you going to wear every day for 90 plus days? And if you cut it well, it grows out well. So, you know, I think that bringing the value to hair cutting is something that I've really tried to do. And it's something that, unfortunately, you know, the general public maybe don't see the same level of value as I certainly do. But because of my exposure, I definitely think I've helped to elevate the standard of hair cutting and the standard of pricing too.
Yeah.
100%. Well, I think that the hair cutting is the actual foundation to hair color, right? Wouldn't you say that?
I don't know. I would say this. I would say this. This is what we used to teach.
Okay.
Great color is phenomenal with a great haircut. And a great haircut comes to life with great color. Yeah. So I think you got to get them both together. And when I went to work full-time for Weller, and I worked full-time for Weller, and I came as purely a professional scissor cutter and artistic director with a badge from Vidal Sassoon that said, hey, you know, this guy's great at cutting hair. I did the full color training program with all of the technicians that were joining the company at the same time. And even though I had very little experience in color, because my haircuts looked good, my color always looked spectacular. Yes. And people were not happy because I could make my color look better than theirs because I gave it shape and style. So we're always learning.
Yes.
So, Nick, you went on, you developed a whole, it's not just your cutting system, you have a whole brand of products, correct? You have sort of checked every box in the craft. So maybe some of our people watching, because we have consumers, we have beauty, tell us about your brand, the concept, what's involved, that sort of thing.
Well, it's highly evolved, and it continues to. Nothing stays the same. So when I started with Arrojo, the first concept was, let me focus on trying to build a clientele. Let me focus on trying to build a great studio where people could come for great hair. The whole concept was, if you want a great haircut or a great look, you can come to my business and you'll get that great caliber of quality, service, speciality. My foundation's always been rooted in one thing, and that is education. Educators usually are, because they educate, you're forced to always be on. Yeah. You know, you lose credibility if you're not always on, if you're an educator. So you're always educating. Yeah. So I've always been, the key to success is through education. So we created a very strong educational program, and we train hundreds of hairdressers through our system. Along that journey, I decided that if I was going to make a difference in the industry, then to have a school would be the place that I could really start to have I could invest in a school. Maybe it can make a difference at a fundamental grassroots level. So that's what I did. And I started the school, and I had the salon. And then I said, okay, what's next? What's next is now I've got a salon with loads of clients. I've got a school with students and clients. So what do they need? They're going to walk out with products. So I decided that after spending years helping other companies develop their products, which is not that hard, you're just helping, giving ideas, but it's nice when someone comes and asks you for an idea. But, you know, I got to the point in my life where I was like, you know what? I can afford to potentially bring out a line of hair care to help support my product, to help support my brand messaging. And I brought out a line of products that was basically all about functionality and performance. I wanted to simplify the beauty regimen. So it was not about a special being in the jungle. It wasn't about something that you found, you know, in the sea. It was pure and simple about what are the right kind of products that I want to develop for me, and how can I get people to understand the right thing, because funny names on funny products and people don't know how to use them. Even simple name on simple products, people don't know how to use them. So my journey was all about trying to help people understand and choose the right products for what they're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And that's how I kind of foundationally set up Arrojo. And then we started selling to salons across America, and we started this professional products brand, which was really, really exciting. But more importantly, I think the one thing that has really made a difference, which I'm really going to be doubling down on, and which I don't know if anyone really knows this, but I'm going to tell you. In 2010, when I was at the Chicago Beauty Show, there were two things that were very popular. One was feathers, and the feather trend only lasted for a year or two until all the birds were bald, and then they picked up more feathers. Yeah, but everybody was making the hair smooth. There was smoothing treatments, there was keratin treatments, there was, you know, keratin blow dry treatments. Every corner of every trade show was all about making the hair smooth. And it was in 2010 that I decided to reinvent what used to be called a perm. So we came out with a product, and we went and we met with chemists, and I met with a chemist last week actually, and we developed a product called American Wave, and we basically reinvented what used to be a permanent wave. Well, just the same way that you don't go to the salon and say, I want bleach highlights, you don't go to the salon and say, I want a perm. You need to say, I want to get some texture, some movement, American Wave. We tried to rechange the way people thought about texture. And we had tremendous success, and you had to get certified. So we looked at what happened in the smooth. In 1982, when I got into hairdressing, we used to straighten hair, and we used to perm hair. Yeah. We don't straighten hair no more. We do smoothing treatments. Yeah. The verbiage changed. The technology's changed. It's all evolved. So we re-evolved what used to be the perm business and turned it into the American Wave business. A straightener and a perm in the 80s was about £50 or $50. Yeah. And they were both about the same price. Yeah. Yeah. And yet, when smoothing came in and straightening, the price went from that nominal price into the hundreds, if not thousands. So they elevated the price point, they elevated the service, created something that was completely new, which was premium. And if you're a hairdresser, you want to make hair nice and smooth, you can charge $500. I only need one client to get $500. So now I'm really into that, because I don't need a mass amount of clients. It's not like being in a barbershop where I've got to do 50 cuts to get that kind of revenue. Yeah. Plus, as a consumer, wanting to have a softer, more gentler way for my hair to be processed was worth the investment, because I could see the added benefits of having no frizz. I could see the added benefits of getting my hair to be sleeker, easier to manage. We reinvented the perm. It's called American Wave. We took the price from what was $150 for a permanent wave. We eliminated it completely, and we created American Wave, and we put it on the service menu at $400. It now sits on my service menu at $450. We do an American Wave every single day. Yeah. Now, here's the challenge, and I've done that for 10 years. During the pandemic, the chemist that was developing my product was sold. Oh. And I'm an advocate for the industry, and I study it. I don't just wake up and go to work.
Yeah.
I wake up with intention every day.
Yeah.
So once my company was sold, I could not make the same product. And I've been searching high and wide, far and all over the place to try and see where I could find a new chemist to develop American Wave. And because I couldn't find one, we've been slowly diminishing, and we're basically running out of waving lotion. I've got people calling every day. They want waving lotion. We don't have any waving lotion. Yeah. Some companies still have perms. They still call them perms. Like, we got to move well away from it. But I just met with a great chemist in California, and I was just at Cosmoprof in Miami. Cosmoprof in Miami, there was probably 500 booths from all over the world. I walked every single one of them, and not one of them did anything to do with creating texture. American Wave is going to revolutionize this year, because we are now working on 2 new waving lotions, one which will be completely green and one which will be completely clean. So we are working to develop the kindest, softest, new and improved American Wave lotion. And I predict that American Wave, on its second wave of being penetrated into the market, I predict that we're going to have a lot of success. And I'm looking at both you ladies, and neither of you have straight hair. Okay, you both have texture. There's a bevy of people out there that have never had texture that would like it. So I'm taking my bet to the bank that American Wave is going to get reinvigorated once I now have my new waving lotion, which will be launching in 2025. And as a hairdresser, I want to explain to you why, if a hairdresser's listening, this is why it's important today. American Wave can be priced at $400. You add a haircut, let's put another $150 on it. So now you're at $550. And when you're changing someone's texture, what are they going to do? They're going to buy into the product.
Exactly.
So now you've got an automatic sell, at least 2 retail products. So that's the future. It is the present, but it's the future, and it's coming. We're moving into it as we speak.
I think you're so on point, because we've gone through, all the designing, roller setting, hot rollers. We've gone through all the cutting, everything but chewing it off with our teeth. We've colored everything, a couple of poodles along the way. But yet, post-COVID, and I've been saying this, spent a lot of time in airports, and you look at the general public, and there's no silhouette, there's no style, there's, hair, it's not good. And I keep saying, where are our trend makers? Where are the people who are coming out with that next new push? And I think you are spot on, because women are tired of just the straight hair. And the wonderful thing about textured hair, curly hair, is it's the easiest hair for the client to maintain. If you've got the right products and the right wave and the right cut, it's a piece of cake. So
we've made hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, over the last 10 years with American Wave. Okay, Arrojo product is still in existence. American Wave is still in existence. Yeah, we've had both of these. The pandemic, as a small business owner, I'm lucky I'm still in business.
Yeah.
The pandemic,
in New York,
to me, no one wants to have that happen. My rent is $200,000 a month when they shut the business down. So when they shut my business down, I'm like, how am I going to pay the rent? Every day was $7,000 a day in rent. When we reopened the business 4 months later, we were millions of dollars in debt, and nobody came back.
Yeah.
Most salons, you talked about celebrity, you can go and have a look at all the celebrity hairdressers in New York City. A lot of them don't have salons anymore.
Right.
Because even though they have a name, just being able to survive in this industry, it's been very difficult. So I've spent the last 5 years of my journey fighting to sustain and keep this business going, because I started this business with nothing. I put all of my money into it. I invested everything into myself and into the future of my brand and my business. And then unfortunately, what changed was the pandemic changed the environment, and it's still not recovered. But the good news is I'm still standing, and we are invigorated. And I've spent the last 5 years getting to this point where now, instead of being on the defense, I'm now starting to move into an offense where I'm back. I want to I've stabilized my brand. I've had to downsize. I've had to go through a lot of painful processes. But now I'm at a point where, I'm thankful that at least I can start to see a little bit more daylight. Sometimes it's really hard to see the daylight.
Yeah.
But as long as you can see daylight, you got something to work towards. I always knew it was there, but it was dark there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything you said is so true. And Sue and I are thrilled that you bring back the texture look, because we both came from a company years ago where we taught and traveled the world teaching permanent wave.
There you go. There you go.
We worked for Zotos,
There you go.
Zotos, Pentair, and so we can tell you everything about perming hair.
I know, because I know a lot about Zotos, and Zotos is a company that's been purchased and acquired, and it's changed hands a few times. And therefore things change.
Things change.
You can understand that. So, but we don't need, and Zotos had the best technology. Yeah. But right now, we need new technology.
Correct.
And
Exactly.
100%.
And we need new mentality. And it's no longer, and I've known this because I've been doing this for 10 years, it's no longer about making sure that you have that really baked in tight curl because it lasted forever. Yeah. Today, people are happy with something that's washable, that falls away, that dissipates, that doesn't last forever. People don't necessarily want permanent anymore. Right? People want permanence. I wear it for a week or two. I got some texture. It's nice, but then when it disappears a little bit, it doesn't matter if it costs me $400 or $500, because guess what? I'm 23 and I want to do something different next month.
Yeah,
exactly.
People don't live in that. We're living
in that mentality.
The mentality is different. It's the richest country in the world. People have money to spend on beauty. People have money to spend on their image. So, again, I think that there's a lot of optimism in the future, and that's something that I'm trying to navigate myself towards.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
It's fabulous, because I think, your story being in New York, definitely New York was the most impacted, but all over the country, many salons in California. I own a company called Evolve. We deal in hair goods, mainly for women with fine and thinning hair. And many of our salons were just gone, or relocated, or started over. And I think we need those new things in a new way to get into our new post-COVID world. And I salute you for carrying on the fight, for still being in existence and looking forward instead of in the rearview mirror. And like Lulu said, I've 17 years with Zotos and corporate, and I just, anything we can do, Nick, to help you, I absolutely promise that I would do it, because the industry needs what you are doing now. So kudos to you.
I'm going to keep doing it.
So today I just read you are one of the guest artists for Hair Emotion for
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I think that it's the power of it's the power of connection, and it's the power of being professional, because basically I know Sharon Blaine, and I heard about her event, and she's obviously an Australian artist, and she's nationally known, and she's like the the royal She's royalty. She's hairdressing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
for the hairdressers in the know that know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's hairdressing royalty. When I heard she was doing a show, I called her to ask her about the show, asked her about the event, and she spoke to me and she said she wanted to elevate the standard of education because education, as you mentioned earlier, has all gone online
Mm-hmm.
and people are being taught things that really are gimmicks. They're not techniques.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're dumbing, in some capacity, the industry is getting dumbed down.
Mm-hmm.
So what Sharon wanted to do, because the big hair show there never started after the pandemic, Australia was incredibly impacted with the lockdowns. You weren't even allowed to leave a 1 mile radius.
Yeah.
So when the show, when the pandemic was eventually over, the show never came back.
Yeah.
So Sharon's decided to put on this 3-day event to elevate the industry, to elevate the craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really interested in American Wave because she doesn't want competing artists. So she wants to have the best barber, the best scissor cutter, the best, hair painter, the best stylist. She wants the best in their field.
Mm-hmm.
And I got chatting to her, and then she never had anybody that was lined up for razor cutting. And when she went to her team and discussed it, they all thought that it was a really great idea that there would be somebody that could show elevated razor cutting. Because when people think of the razor, they think of just slicing the hair to create texture. And that
Correct.
is far from the truth for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I'm about precision-based work, caliber, quality, craftsmanship. The tool's different. It gives you a different effect. So I'm thrilled to be able to get to Australia, go global, and to share my razor, my razor technique. And again, for me, I still have dreams. I still have ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not dead yet. I still have to go. So I said to myself on my little, in my little moleskin book that I write every year and say, what am I going to do this year? Because you don't write something down, you forget what you think.
Right.
And when you're forced to write it down, it starts to create an imprint in your brain. So one of the things that I'd written down this year was to try and build a little bit more of a global profile. So I see this as a great opportunity for me. And I feel like I managed to fulfill one of my objectives for the year, and we'll see where it takes us. And I'm looking forward to, getting to Australia and being part of what I think will be a phenomenal show. She's, if anyone can do a great event, I think that, someone with all of that experience and wisdom who understands the professional stylist, she can do that event. And she's got a great team around her. And I know a lot of the people that are going to be part of that event because we all rub shoulders in the right places, just like you guys. We rub shoulders together, whether we're at a show, an event, here or there. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I saw. We had Sharon Blaine. A couple months ago? On our show, on the podcast. And I knew her because I've taken classes from her. I've taken a photo class in New York, and for Intercoiffure had won first place in one of the images that I did with Sharon Blaine. So she is awesome. She is totally awesome. So we're real happy that you're going to be part of that team. So and I just happened to look at it because she talked about having that show back a couple months ago. When we had her, and so I just looked it up this morning, and I saw your face.
There you go.
so I wrote it down.
And we're already talking to a group of people to go to Australia for the show. So who knows?
And I think it'd be a great experience. I'm super excited myself to go to Australia. It's not my first time. I've been to Australia a few times. Everything to do with hair. I've been there for Goldwell. I've been there for Vidal Sassoon. I think I may have even been there for Weller. But I've been to Australia a few times. I'm looking forward to going, and I'm looking forward to seeing such a great lineup of 3 days. It's not like not like the trade shows here. It's going to be very intimate and different and global and fun. So if anyone watches this and they go to Australia, come and say hi to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I know we're gonna go.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
So we'll be rubbing shoulders at the bar.
Yeah, yes.
And then there were 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nick, our audience is kind of crazy, and Sue's gonna tell you, go over 5 questions with you on this. Sue?
Well, what we found is that our audience always says, you know, we want to know these little details. And so we decided to do this thing lightning round where we ask just 5 quick questions. Some of them are silly, some of them are serious. We asked you just to share what comes off the top of your head.
Sure.
So if you're ready to play, here we go.
Let's do it.
Well, who cuts and styles your hair?
Anybody that's got a pair of scissors when I've got some time to sit down in a chair. It's so not difficult. I just pull it out and chop it off. But yeah, I like it when my wife cuts my hair, but you know, coordinating everything's always a disaster. I'm well overdue a haircut. But if you was here right now, you could cut it. You could cut it for me, Sue.
Yeah. I can tell you're just would be a great person to work with and to learn from because you have such a positive attitude. So I have to ask, what keeps you inspired?
You know what? My imagination. Yeah, my imagination. You know, I just think, you know, you got to dream who you want to be, dream what you want to do, think about what would make you feel excited, stay connected to what's going on. You know, I mean, for me, you know, hairdressing is not a job, it's my life.
Yes.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy the artistry of it. I like being an entrepreneur. I like being a founder. I like it when I make money, although I've not made money for a while now, but I used to love making money. Yeah, I like to get back to those days too.
Yeah.
Really, you know, at the end of every day, you know, I just dream about what I want to do and how I want to be. And, you know, my plate's always very, very full. And I like that full plate. And I tackle the day, and there's never a day that I go to bed and everything's done. There's always so much to do. Once I finish here, I've got so much to do. There's no better feeling than when you've been busy all day, you've had a productive day, you've worked hard, you feel like you've done something, and I call that purpose.
Yes.
So I like having a purpose. This is my purpose, and my imagination keeps me inspired because I look at the possibilities. And just to wrap this question up, I know I'm taking a long time. I always used to say, if Horst Rechelbacher can do it, if Vidal Sassoon can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
If I can do it, why can't you?
Yeah.
So the world's open to everybody. Dream big, work hard, and you know, keep dreaming big because it's much more exciting than dreaming small.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your favorite book or the last book that you read?
I don't read books. I don't read books. Never read books. I've got too much imagination to read books. But I used to read books when I used to go on vacation.
Yeah.
And I can tell you 2 books that I've read, and they're probably the 2 books that I've read in the last 30 years. One was called The Kite Runner, and the other was called The Tipping Point. So one was more of an imagination story.
Yeah.
One was more of a self kind of help kind of. Yeah. But I really don't read. I got enough going on inside here.
That's going all the time.
Yeah, and running a business in today's world, I spend so much time now. I used to be a hairdresser. Now I'm a typer, and I could never taught how to type. It means that business demands more and more
typing.
different things from me. So
I'm going to ask you to name 3 American designers.
hairdressers.
Hairdressers, yes, hairdressers.
Okay.
Who inspire you, who don't work for you.
Well, there's loads of people out there.
I know.
But, I think that I will go with, there's a gentleman by the name, he's got a brand. His name's Dom. Dom, here's his brand. His name's Dominic. I see him online. I think he's really cool. He's a one-man show kind of in LA. He's got merchandise and he's developing a brand based on him. His Instagram handle's Dom. I recommend everybody should check him out. He's a really cool cat.
Sounds good.
There's a great razor cutter, great hairdresser. Her name's Jane Edo. She's out of California too. She's someone that's really specialized in doing really delicate, intricate hair, very natural, loose, textured hair. She's phenomenal. And then a good friend of mine who I just think is an amazing person is Ruth Roche. And she's phenomenal. And she's also, been here in New York with me along my journey. So there's my top three. If you ask me tomorrow, I'd probably have another different three. Because we're always learning, we're always looking. And I'm amazed at how many great people there are out there that do hair. I'm amazed.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to see the caliber and the quality. Sometimes the image just creates so much magic that it fuels inspiration for all of us.
Yeah. Okay, this is one you can take a little bit more time with if you want, but what do you want your legacy to be?
I think my legacy is really grounded in education. Yeah, that's what I want my legacy to be, grounded in education. I want it to be elevating the craft, elevating the industry of hairdressing, professionalizing it, making us look so that we're much more professionally viewed as opposed to maybe, less professionally looked at. When I talk to people when I talk to people, I say that typically speaking, hairdressing, if there was a ladder, what would be at the top and what would be at the bottom? And this is a career ladder. So when I was at school, it was always to be a solicitor, an attorney, a lawyer. These were at the top of be a banker, be in finance. These are at the top of the ladder. Then you've got your doctors and you've got your insurance and your health workers. And I always say that hairdressing, unfortunately, sits kind of in the bottom. And I mean that in all honesty, because the reality is society never took us seriously when the pandemic came. We were completely non-essential. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a low paying job if you go to the government statistics. Yeah. It's female dominated, this industry. So 84% of the hairdressing community is female. Yeah. It's a job for a lot of people, maybe not so much of a career. Yeah. So for me, I've always said that my role or my purpose is to elevate what people perceive to be a professional hairdresser as.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be doing Brad Pitt's hair or Angelina Jolie's hair. Yeah. I know so many amazing salon owners that provide so many successful futures for people. I know I talked to them today. I'll talk to different ones tomorrow. I'll talk to different ones tonight. Yeah. With the salon owners, the leaders of this industry, they elevate and you can do so much. And I think that when that kid goes to dad or mom and says, I want to get into hairdressing, I would like for the answer to be, instead of, no, you can't, go to college, get your degree, do this, do that. I would like that conversation to be slightly different. And then I would think I would have fulfilled my legacy, because instead of thinking that this is a low-end job, you can think of this as a high-end career. Many, 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 many rivers off this high career. Yes. It's like a tree. Hairdressing is a tree, and it's got 1 million branches. And you can go down all those different branches and never be bored. Yeah. I'm certainly not bored. There's stuff that I need to do better today. My hands can do better. Yeah. My business mentality can be better. But being in this hairdressing, in this beauty industry, my job, my legacy. Let's try and just elevate it, professionalize it more, and get people to be taken way more seriously. So when they think you're a hairdresser, they don't think, oh, you're a hairdresser. They think, wow, you're a hairdresser. So that's my answer.
And I see that you're
Thank
not
you.
only elevating the craft, but you're going to elevate the craft worldwide. Sure.
Okay, exactly. Wow.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank
I
you,
hope
Nick.
this is in Australia, and thank you for what you're doing for our industry.
Thanks.
Yes.
And thanks for your patience. I used to have an assistant, but unfortunately, it's I cut the assistant out and just work a little bit harder. So that's why the communication's been a little bit
Oh,
tougher.
hey,
Good.
we got you on. We
Yeah.
got you on.
Yeah.
And we like your journey that you're taking. Thank you so much for elevating this profession.
Thank you so much, and have a great day, guys. Thank
You
you.
do the same.
I'll see you in Oz, if not sooner.
All right.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/artists, icons, entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavidez, on IG at Lulu Benavidez, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavidez.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.